This is part one of pulling the triggers and fears. Okay, so we touched about this in the psychology of trading. Okay, now we're going to dig a little deeper and kind of get into ways to overcome any of the fears that you have or anything like that, and hopefully help you be able to change the perception of the way you see things. Okay, so first off, do you have problems pulling the trigger? Okay, most traders, actually, some traders don't, some do. Some are like, they think way too much about losing. Okay, what if I'm wrong? I don't want to lose money. The last trade I took, I lost. So guess what? When the trade that they know is going to work and sets up, they're too afraid to actually pull the trigger. And then they watch the trade go by them. And then they get angry and they get upset. And it's just kind of like an onion, right? An onion, you just peel layer after layer after layer. Well, those layers are just kind of going on top of this trader. So every single time it becomes harder and harder to pull the trigger. You just need to pull the trigger. It's not the end of the world. And guess what? Great things might actually happen. Without risk comes no reward. And that's the best, that's kind of the way you need to look at it. If you have high probability trades and everything's setting up the way you believe, okay, that you see over and over and over happen, you need to pull the trigger. Don't think so much. Now, one of the ways around it, trade smaller size, right? If you're trading the S&P E-minis and maybe the market's real volatile and you don't want to risk, it's a quick market, but you need a wider stop loss or you don't want to risk as much money, go trade the SPYs, okay? The SPYs equal 500 shares of one E-mini S&P, right? So maybe trade 100 shares or 200 shares. So now you're able to kind of have a little more at ease. You'll be able to pull the trigger a lot easier because you know you're not going to risk as much money. Okay. Also, maybe you could scale in, right? Instead of buying all, like you could buy 100 here. If it goes down 20 cents, you buy another 100 and so on and so on. And then you could scale out or take all your profits on the bounce. So that's one way of overcoming the problems of pulling the trigger. Trade smaller size. And also don't think, okay? Do you have a problem of over trading? A lot of traders, okay, actually have this problem. It's the other extreme. They trade way too much. That's the gambler, right? They're the ones who make a lot of money and then they lose a lot of money, and then they don't care. They're not affected like the person who has issues pulling the trigger, right? The person who pulls the trigger is so worried about the money side and losing. The gambler doesn't look at it. All they look at is the action, or hey, I can make a lot of money, right? They don't think about the losing side. They think more about the winning side of making money. So if you do overtrade, okay, if you have that issue where you're overtrading, you must learn patience. Wait for the high probability trade setup. Tell yourself, write it on a piece of paper, hang it up right next to your computer, right? And say, I'm only allowed to take 2 trades or 1 trade today. And I'm going to make sure that 1 trade is the best setup that I see all day long. Okay? And you have to be disciplined. You're not going to kind of do this overnight. It's going to take lots and lots of work, okay? But I guarantee you will be able to do it. Do you think too much? Well, stop thinking and just trade. Okay, when I first started trading, even to this day, I still think a lot, okay, but I'm aware of when I think too much, and I'm able to control those emotions. Like we spoke earlier, learn who you are, understand, don't let your emotions control you, you control your emotions. So what happens is when I start to think too much, I second guess, oh, will this trade work out? I just stop thinking and I place the trade. Worse, because guess what? I have my stop loss. The worst thing is I know how much I'm going to lose. And I'm okay with it, but guess what? I might actually be correct on it. Okay, so if you start to think and you're thinking too much, and by the time you go, okay, everything's good, and you do all your analysis, the trade's already gone. Okay, you want this to be kind of like a muscle memory. Okay, like a baseball player. They know when to swing. They're not up in the batter's box saying, while the pitch is coming, should I swing or should I not? They just know. It's instinct, right? And they know exactly what to do. You're the same way. You need to learn exactly when to trade and when not to trade, okay? And don't think so much. And when you see the trade, okay, just place it. And that kind of segues us into see the trade, say the trade, and place the trade. Okay? Those are the three most important words you could keep telling yourself. See the trade, okay? Identify the trade. You say the trade, what the trade is, the pattern, and then you place the trade. There's no thinking, there's nothing else, because you know once you see it, I've seen that head and shoulders over and over. I see it break that trend line or come back to kiss the back of the trend line. I know this trade works over and over. And guess what? Instead of thinking, am I going to be right? Oh, try and find another verification. Oh, what's the AD lines or the tick doing or this or that? Just take the trade. Because a good trader, that's what they do. They see the trade, they say the trade, then they place the trade. And then finally, don't think of how much money you could lose on the trade. Okay? Gamblers don't think about the money they could lose. Believe it or not. Most gamblers think about how much am I going to make. That's all they thrive for, right? It's kind of like a athlete. Athletes don't think about failing. They think about how can I win? Okay? How can I be the best that I could be? How can I make how can I do the best and have the edge over everybody else? That's the competitive spirit, right? They never think about, oh, well, if I do this, I might lose or something, right? No, don't think that way. Don't think of how much you could lose. Think of how much you could win. Man, I know this trade works. I've seen it over and over. I'm going to place it. And guess what? When I'm in the trade, I'm going to root for the trade, right? It's kind of like, don't go, oh, jump in the train, go, oh, okay, I hope I don't lose, okay? And you start to sink in your chair and you get real low and you start thinking, oh, what if this happens? Or what if news comes out? All these things. No, don't think. Go, yeah, this trade's going to work because I did my homework. I know it's a high probability trade. Sit up straight, right? It's kind of project the law of attraction, okay? And say, you're going to work. And even though at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything, it's just you're putting out that good energy, okay? And you're able to see the market a lot cleaner and a lot clearer when you do things like that. So that's part one. Stay tuned for part two of pulling the trigger and the fears.